Hello everyone, my name is Kabibi and I'm one of the hosts of the Ecoute podcast. This podcast is designed mainly for the current PhD students who are looking forward to pursuing their careers in different industrial domains. In this podcast, we tend to invite different professionals who are PhD graduates, but they have successfully built their careers in different industrial fields. I'm hoping these conversations will be meaningful and helpful to you who is a current PhD student and is looking forward to pursuing their career in different industries. So please join us for these interesting conversations that are about to start. Enjoy. First of all, thank you for accepting this invitation. I'm really honored. I think after seeing you talk during the GCIM event, I was really impressed and I was like, oh, we have a lot of things to learn from you. So as much as the podcast is mainly trying to focus on people who previously did a PhD, I think for me, it was really important to have you here as much as you have not done your PhD, right?
Yeah, I don't have a PhD, sure, but I'm very concerned about the PhD people.
And that's why you're the perfect person, because I think we're much more, before, people are much more interested in people who have been through their path, but I think you've also been in the same path, just on a different side. And that's very important because you see things the way we don't see them. So that's really good. So to start with, could you tell us a bit about yourself, your background, your name, what are you doing?
Okay, sure. So I'm Laurent MASSCHELEYN. I'm the founder of RD2 Conseil. Just my background very quickly. I'm graduated from the Grandes Écoles, especially in business administration and political science. I had a career that was quite diversified. I began in the banking sector for about 10 years in Paris, and then I came to Lyon in the south of France. And that's where I began to enter the innovation sector. I was hired in a consulting firm to work with companies to help them finance their research and development activities and to finance innovation, especially thanks to a specific incentive in France, which is the research tax credit. We'll come to it later. I'll explain it because it's quite important. I spent 1 year in this company, and then I decided to found my own company with some friends, and we decided to create a consulting firm dedicated for startups and PMEs and SMEs, sorry, small and medium companies. In the same area, which was financing innovation. I spent 8 years to accompany and to help companies to finance innovation. And in this research tax credit incentive, there was a specific focus for PhDs. Actually, the research tax credit allows companies that will hire what we call young PhD to be financed or to have the salary of the PhD financed during 2 years. So we try to valorize, to put the focus on the interest from the companies to hire PhDs, and we found that it was very, very, very complicated to find the right people, to identify the people, to have the interview processes. So I decided to quit actually the financing activity and to create RD2 Conseil as a headhunter company, as a recruiting firm focused on the PhDs. So briefly, this is my career path.
Okay, so RD Conseil was actually born from that idea when you saw the difficulty in actually getting these young PhDs. So that's why you decide to go towards that direction.
Yeah, exactly. That was
Okay.
based on the fact, on the identification of the difficulty for especially the small companies to find the right candidates, to find the PhD, to approach them, because they didn't have the network, they didn't have the knowledge of the academic sector, so it was hard for them to find the people. To attract the people and to sometimes to talk with the PhDs, but we come in. I think we're gonna discuss it later, especially regarding the difficulties for a doctor, for a PhD to enter the private sector. That's one of the difficulties.
Okay, so from what you have said, you have also told us why you chose this career path. Because based on the need that you saw, could you tell us simply how the process goes? If today I come to RD Conseil, do you deal with the PhD students, or do you deal with the companies, or do you deal with both? Like, how does it work?
Okay, so as I said, we are headhunters.
Yeah.
That means that our clients are the companies that we look for PhD students, okay, or PhDs, not only PhD students, but actually young doctors. Okay. That means that in the process, we do not help the students, the candidates to find a job, but we help the companies to find candidates. So in the process, what we do, we first discuss with the company. We try to understand what their activities are, what the R&D projects are, and what they look for in terms of hard skills and soft skills. Only for young doctors. I think that I would say that 95% of our recruitments are young doctors, young PhDs. Okay. Once we have the position defined, then we're gonna try to identify the candidates. That means that we will try to go to the laboratories' websites to find who work on what kind of activity, what kind of thesis. We're gonna try to look at the thesis database to identify some candidates, and we're gonna try to write an email saying, okay, I saw your profile on the internet, on LinkedIn, on social network, on ResearchGate, for example. I have a position that may be interested for you. Can we speak? What do you think about it? So that's the main approach. Is what I call a headhunter. That means that we begin with the needs of the company, and we try to approach directly some candidates. That will be 80% of our recruitments. And for sure, we are always interested in receiving spontaneous or precise applications, because it will be easier for us to have the candidates and the CV and the resumes directly in our database. So we can pick some candidates. We know that they are interested. We know that they are looking for a job. So we are always eager to receive some applications from doctors, whatever the domain. Actually, I didn't tell you about this, but we are focused on young doctors. This is already a niche. We are not focused on any specific domain. So we do, for sure, a lot of artificial intelligence, but we deal also with chemistry, with biology, with even social sciences. For example, we recruited this year a doctor in psychology. So whatever the area of expertise of the doctor, we are interested in receiving CVs.
Okay, that's really good to know. So if people are interested, they could actually send their CVs, and that could even make a job a bit easier for you too.
Yeah,
when
sure.
you're looking for somebody in that area. Okay, so for now, it's been long since you said almost 8 years that you're working in this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in 2013, so almost 10 years. Next year will be our 10-year anniversary.
Wow, congratulations.
Thanks.
So what has your experience been like when you're dealing with the PhD students?
You mean how I consider the doctor during the interview process? That's your question?
Yeah, like for example, during that whole process, normally when you're trying to look for candidates for a certain job, you interact with different PhD students. Yeah. So what could you tell us, like what have you experienced, like most of the strength or the weaknesses that most of these PhD students show, like what do you think?
Actually, what I usually say to the candidates when I do training, because we also have an activity of training PhD students, especially in Grenoble, in Lyon, etc. My speech, my focus is to say, put yourself in the place of the recruiter. Try to understand or to imagine what he wants from you. And usually from the candidates, from the doctors, they don't do this job to try to imagine or project themselves in the place of the recruiter. That means that usually when I begin with the general introduction, present yourself, they begin by presenting all the training, all the thesis, and what the candidate must know, must understand is that a job interview is not a PhD defense. We don't want to know all about the thesis, all about the results, the tools. What we want to know when we say present yourself is just, I would say, a 3-4 minute speech that will make us understand that the candidate has taken the information about the company, has understood the position, and can make the link between his or her competencies and skills and the skills that are required by the job. Okay. And my real experience is that usually there is a gap, there is a lack in the presentation of the PhD.
Okay. And what do you think causes this gap?
I would say the lack of experience in the job interview, in the job process. Usually, when you are a PhD or a postdoc, etc., you are in the academic sector, and when you are asked to present yourself, actually, usually it's on international or national conferences, and present yourself means present your work, present your thesis, present what you do to some experts. And usually the recruiter, me, for example, or human resource manager, etc., we are not really experts. We want just to understand if you have done the job to make the state of the art, for example, about the company, and to understand the job. So I think there is a work to do to really well identify the difference between presentation and pitch presentation when you are at an academic conference, scientific conference, and when you are at a job interview. totally different. So present yourself is not present your thesis. Is really present you as a person, as a professional, what you can bring to a company in terms of hard skills, for sure, because we are looking for a doctor, so we are looking for a scientific expert usually, but present yourself also with your soft skills, with your general competencies like communication, interpersonal relationship, like all this kind of stuff.
Okay, so I could say what you just said there is the weakness, most of the weakness that you see in most of the PhD students, failure to being able to present yourself in a professional environment, right?
Yeah, sure.
And so
I would say professional private environment, because professional environment, they know the academic sector is a professional environment, but it's really focused on the network, on the scientific skills. Usually, it will be, I would say, there is really little chance that what you did during the PhD is exactly the same that will be researched by the company. Usually, they will look for a candidate with some kind of general knowledge, scientific expertise, and general skills to be able to adapt and to do new stuff in a professional private environment.
Okay. So what would you say are the strengths, now that you've told us mostly the weakness, what is the strength that you see in a lot of PhD students?
So here was the weakness, especially regarding the interview process. Regarding the strength, I would say that we have different kind of skills. I would say to do a PhD is something very hard. It's long, and I would say that the first strength is a soft skill that would be investment, implication in a job, passion for a job. Usually, what you have to understand is that recruiting is a risk for a company. Many kind of risk, actually. Financial risk, for sure, because it costs to recruit someone. It costs the salary, but it costs also of the environment, the cost to train the people, to make them integrate in the company. So there is a cost. There is also a human cost. Sometimes when the candidate doesn't fit with the values of the company, doesn't fit with the other people, it can be hard, and sometimes it's gonna go to the break up of the contract. So there is a cost, a risk, and a technical risk, because when we hire a doctor, usually, as far as we are concerned as at RD2, hire for R&D activities. R&D activities means the future of the company, the future products, the future services. So when you hire someone in your R&D team, that means that you provide him or her with all the knowledge of the company. So in terms of confidentiality, there is a risk. So what you have to understand is that hiring someone, whoever it is, engineer, master, doctor, etc., there are many risks. And I would say that the strength of a doctor is the ability to minimize or erase all of these risks. The financial risk, we talked about it with the research tax credit. Someone who will hire a doctor for R&D activities will get a financial incentive quite exceptional. The technical risk when you hire a doctor, that means that you hire someone with some expertise, some scientific knowledge, scientific background, someone who was proven to be able to deal with complex problems, etc. So usually we think that when we hire a doctor, it is proven that we don't have any technical or scientific risk because someone who has defended the thesis is someone who is good. And the human risk, sometimes there can be a problem regarding some doctors because in terms of relationships, communication, this kind of stuff. But usually my clients are quite surprised because they usually have an image of the doctor and the candidates, I present them and they are surprised by how they can communicate, how they can be able to understand the problems and to answer already to find already some kind of solutions. So usually there is a surprise between the image they can have of the doctor and the fact when they meet them. And the last thing about the human risk, hiring someone today in R&D, they are afraid of what I call mercenaries. You know, someone that will begin a job, stay 6 months, have a salary, an entry salary, and try 6 months or 1 year after to go to another company to sell himself better and to get a better salary. And regarding the doctor, I'm used to get to know. We have someone who was able to invest himself 3 years, that is eager, that wants first to find a project, not the salary. For sure, it is important sometimes, but the real choice will be the project, will be the team, will be the ability to learn. So what I can say to my clients, to the companies, to reassure them and to make them hire doctors, is that we have in front of us people that were able to invest themselves during 3 years on a project and that want to spend usually a lot of time in the company and to evolve in the next years and not only to stay 6 months or 1 year in the company.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah, it's very clear. I loved how you answered it, starting from the risks and how we come in. So that's really nice. Okay, so next question. What do you think are the challenges that most PhD students face when they're trying to go into the industry? Because we're coming from academia and then we are shifting into the industry. So what do you think are the challenges that we most of the times face?
I would say the most challenge will be to make the recruiters, the managers, usually that don't know very well the PhD, except if you're talking to a PhD himself. But when you're faced to recruiters, they have an image of the doctor that is quite fundamental research, you know, that is not in on the ground, that is not operational. Especially in France, you have the difference between the engineers that are trained and made for the companies and the doctors that are trained and made for the academic sector and the fundamental research. I think the most complicated challenge is to make the recruiter understand that you have sometimes during the PhD thesis worked on concrete problems and concrete solutions. And even when it's not the case, that you can deal and that you want to deal with concrete problems. And that is what I said when I said, put yourself in the place of the recruiter. It's not just explaining the thesis, saying, I did that, I did that, I did that, but instead to reassure him or her about the fact that you will be able tomorrow to work on concrete problems and to find concrete solutions. Okay. Usually, I don't know if you are faced with that sentence already. Usually the recruiter will smile, but it's quite true. They say, I don't want a searcher, I want a finder. And usually the doctor is seen as the searcher, the researcher, and they want someone who doesn't search, but who will find solutions tomorrow. So keep that in mind and try to have your pitch, to have your speech focused on solutions and how you can deal with concrete problems and concrete solutions tomorrow in the company.
Okay. Because I think even ideally as a PhD student, you go in as a researcher, but the idea is to find, because we already have an objective of the project. It's just that most of the times you don't find what you're looking for. So that's the challenge. I think most PhD students would say, we go there wanting to research and find what we're looking for, but at the end of the day, we end up researching and not finding exactly what we're looking for. So we just find ourselves as just researchers, I could say. But yeah, I think also we are actually designed to be finders. It's just that the environment of how the PhD advances kind of determines if you're gonna end up at being a researcher or also become a finder. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, and so sometimes I would say many doctors don't find, okay, and sometimes it is also a positive result in the academic sector not to find or to find that the solution is impossible to find.
Exactly.
It's especially for this difficult for this kind of doctors, because when you didn't find any solution, when you didn't focus on finding a solution, but the goal was to make problems emerge, it's sometimes hard to project to the company. Yeah. And that is where it is really important for the doctor to adapt the language and to try to go back to basics, to go back to the concrete solutions, or maybe to imagine what could be the problems tomorrow and how you can deal with these kind of problems, you know.
Okay.
Because actually it is, when I was talking about risk, it is a real risk for the recruiter, because we can in companies have real R&D, research and development problems, research and development activities. The goal at the end, whatever the timeline, sometimes it will be 3 months, sometimes it will be 1 year, sometimes it will be 3-year projects. But the goal at the end is to find a solution, to have a product or to have a service. And they can't afford to hire people that want to go on searching and showing why it doesn't work, and showing that some path doesn't work. That's not the goal. And that's the real risk for the recruiter to have a doctor that wants to be happy in the research process. Some doctors are made like this. Yeah. And I think that I think, I really think they are not made sometimes to enter private companies. Yeah. If they want to do the research, if they want to publish, if they want to collaborate with some other academic experts, maybe they need to focus on the academic positions. Yeah. But if they want to be more concrete, if they are fed up with publications, articles, writings, and I would say fundamental research, maybe they can find some solution in the private companies.
Yeah, because I think that's where the difference comes because when we're all doing a PhD, you get to a point where some of us will be like, okay, I'm gonna stay in the research field in academia, and some of us will be like, oh, we want to go into the industry. I think that's where, like what you say, the difference during the PhD, you come to realize what type of a person are you? Are you a person who is interested in just finding stuff and going deeper into things, to the root of things? Or you're someone who actually wants to do something and actually see concrete results, seeing the impact of what you're finding. Because if you're a person who really wants to see the impact of what you're finding, like, how should I put it? Like working towards something and seeing its benefit in the society, then you'd much more be like, okay, this doesn't work. I need to find something that can actually be applicable and helpful to the society. So I think, yeah, that's where the difference comes in. Yeah. On which type of, if you're a researcher or a finder, and yeah.
But you have to pay attention, because I said you have, usually I said that the companies have image about the doctor. We must say also that the doctors have image about private companies.
That's
private
true.
companies, they are usually often seen as capitalist companies. They want to make money. They want to use the employees just to get the cash.
That's the image.
The projects are short-term projects, and they are really focused on finding solutions, finding products. That's not the case. You can have, and my clients are small companies, are startups, but very innovative startups, and they deal with real research projects and development projects. And the doctors should know that you can have a lot of different projects, and most of them can be compared really to what they did during the thesis. That's why also these companies want to hire a doctor. It's not only about the financial incentive. If they hire someone just to get some cash, it's usually easier for them not to hire anyone,
Okay.
So when they decide to hire, to spend time on the training, on the integration of a doctor, it's usually because they are aware that the doctor can bring them some added value in terms of scientific skills, of methodology, of complementarity with the other people. So, and they want the doctor usually to sometimes to focus on short-term projects, but also to bring them some overview to deal with middle and long-term projects.
Okay. Okay, that was a great answer. So would you, for most of us who are doing a PhD, or for people who are not yet doing a PhD, would you say a PhD is a plus? Like it's a good thing to have?
It depends. My answer for sure will be yes and no. I created RD2 on the recruiting of PhDs. So for sure, for me, having a PhD is a plus. And I'm really convinced that hiring a PhD for a company will be a plus for the company. for all the strengths and all the skills that are already explained. I would say it depends on what you want to do with your PhD, how you present your experience. We all tried the doctoral schools, the PhD, myself. We all try to make understand that doing a PhD is a professional experience. It's not a back plus 8 years of studies. It's really a master, 5 years of studies, plus I would say 2 or 3 years professional experience. It is a professional experience in a specific sector, which is the academic sector. But you develop skills that could be transferable to the professional companies.
Okay.
But so this is a plus. This is an experience, professional experience. But how you will present it, how you will understand what you did and what your skills really are for the companies will be will give you the ability to present it as added value or to present it as a negative experience, only focused on the academic sector. And sometimes the way the doctors present the thesis make us understand that they are not fitted, they are not able to integrate the private sector.
How?
Like I said, when you don't understand the needs of the recruiter, and you don't understand that they want to be convinced that what you did can be transferred to their companies, and you focus only on, for example, the publications. I don't say that the private companies don't deal with publications, sometimes in renowned journals, but usually that's not the main goal. And when we have a doctor that presents himself in the way that he wants to continue to publish, he wants to continue to go in international conference to present his works, he wants to continue to collaborate with some laboratories, etc. If the presentation is only focused on what was done in a laboratory, and finally we understand that he wants to do exactly the same, but he wants to be paid better, that's not the goal, and he or she will not be the right candidate for what we want.
Okay, so it means the trick is in when you're going for a job interview, understanding what the company needs and use your experience from your PhD to see how you can bring to them those skills that they're looking for, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And when it comes to soft skills, right? Because I feel like another thing that as the images that the company, I think we're also as PhD students, we're starting to believe in this image that the company has for us, and that could be a bit discouraging. So, and we actually forget that actually we also have soft skills, because even in the labs we're working in, we're surrounded with people, and we relate with one another, we spend time with one another. But it's like when we go out there, people forget, they assume as if we're just always surrounded with our chemicals or with whatever that we're doing. So what would be your advice to a PhD student in making sure that even these soft skills are seen, you know, that it's just not about what you do as a technical part of your subject, but like what could you do to make sure that you're also showing the company that there's also a part of me? Because from my recent finding, I saw that one thing that the companies are now struggling with the most is not finding technical skills, it's actually finding soft skills. So soft skills are becoming very valuable, but I also feel like as PhD students, we fail to present these skills as much as we have them.
Yeah, the soft skills are really important. Actually, I would say that 75% of the decision to hire a doctor will be for sure based on the technical skills, the hard skills, the area of expertise of the doctor. But 25% will be the soft skills, and especially at the beginning in the recruitment process, the ability to integrate, to fit in the company values and the way they function. So the 25% will be based on the interpersonal skills, the ability to communicate, the ability to work in a team, or the will to work in a team. That's really important. So I think my first answer will be to first of all, for the doctor to identify the soft skills. Usually, during all my interviews, I ask about the soft skills. I say at the end of the interview, I say, okay, we have discussed about your training, your thesis, your scientific skills. That's good. So now tell me about yourself. What are your qualities? I don't ask for the defaults, the weakness, but I ask for the strength. I ask for the qualities. And usually, even if it's supposed to be prepared because we are in a job interview, when I ask about the personal qualities, personal strength for the people, and the answer is, oh, it's a tough question. It's hard to answer this kind of question because I'm quite shy and I don't know how to present myself. That's not an answer I want. Yeah, usually you have to be prepared. You have to identify the soft skills, and you have tools that are made to help you prepare this kind of tools. So the first answer is identify. You can talk about communication. You can talk about the ability of learning. You can talk about the ability of dealing with complex problems. You can talk about the ability to deal with many different tools, software tools, scientific tools. You can talk about, like I said, the passion, the motivation, the investment in a job. So you have many skills that you can promote and that you can say to a recruiter. So the first answer will be prepared for the job interview. Okay. The second answer, this is for the, I would say, the job process, recruiting process. But what I see, because it's been 10 years that we exist, we have recruited, I would say, dozens or maybe hundreds of doctors, and some of them we have seen them evolve in the company. And I would say that the soft skills for a doctor will be more than the scientific and the hard skills, but the soft skills will give the ability to evolve in the group. I saw doctors, I met them hired at one time, and less than 1 year after that, they were in charge of the R&D team. They evolved from a position of R&D engineer to the position of lead engineer or director of their research and development activities. And that is due to the soft skills, to this ability to manage problems, to manage people, to manage scientific issues. And the soft skills will give the ability for the doctors to evolve in the company and to get responsibilities. So this is where it is really important. but it's quite apart from the recruiting process.
Okay.
And the answer is be aware of who you are and what you can provide to the company in terms of soft skills.
Okay. That's a very good answer. So we need them in the beginning, but also they're very useful in helping us to evolve once we get into the company. Okay. So now going into the research tax credit, you are talking about it. Could you tell us what that is and everything that involves that research tax credit? Because most of us as PhD students, we're not aware of it. And I would say for foreigners, it's even worse because we're really not, we don't know how that works.
Yeah, for sure. And you're right, Kabibi, because when I do conference with doctors in doctoral schools, etc., usually I ask the people, usually there are 100, 200 people. When I ask who knows about the young doctor incentive in the research tax credit, I would say about 5%, 5 people on 100 know about it, even if we have only doctors in front of me. So it's really important for young doctors to know about this incentive. And usually also many companies don't know about this specific incentive dedicated to doctors. So maybe it's a way also to promote your application instead of other people like masters or engineers.
Okay.
What you have to know is the research tax credit is a financial incentive for private companies that do R&D activities. It's a way to finance the expenses of the companies. So the expenses are many, like intellectual property, like salary of the people working in R&D, and engineers, technicians, masters, etc. Whoever working on R&D can be financed by the research tax credit. Some expenses also will be the collaborations with public or private laboratories. Anyway, many kind of expenses, all kind of R&D expenses. But in the research tax credit expenses, you have also a specific incentive for the recruitment of what we call young doctors. A young doctor is someone who is graduated from a PhD, wherever the PhD, in France, abroad. The doctor can be French, but can also be a foreigner who had a PhD from France or who had a PhD in a different country, whatever. What is important is that he or she is graduated from a PhD. Young means that you didn't have any permanent contract after the PhD. So that means that you just defended your thesis, you just defended your PhD, or you can have 4, 5, 6 years experience, usually as a postdoc, and you are still eligible to the young doctor. For example, my oldest young doctor at 47 years, he was an astrophysician, and he had, I would say, 4 or 5 postdocs during each 5 years, all over the world, sorry, and he was still a young doctor, actually. So the real criteria for the young doctor incentive is this first permanent contract after the defense of the thesis. And if you respect this criteria, that means that you are a PhD, you didn't have a permanent contract, so the company will be able to get a financial incentive through the research tax credit of the let's say simple, of the entire salary of the doctor during 2 years. So it's really important, it's really great, it's really exceptional for a company to have this kind of incentive. Just one point, be very careful. This is not to make you hire at a better salary than that you can expect. Usually I have some doctors that say, okay, the company will be fully financed, so I want a salary 5,000 or 10,000 euros more than the other engineers that are present in the company for the last 5 or 10 years. Because I am a doctor, because I'm financed, I'm worth better than the other engineers. That's a risk, and that's not a good solution. But it is a really good argument, the financial point, to make you hire instead of other profiles like engineers with 5 or 10 years experience, for example.
Okay. Okay, so when you're saying these people, like, you have to make sure you have never had a permanent contract, you're meaning to not have, in the French terms, you should never have had a CDE before, more like a CDD.
Yeah, that's right. But actually, the criteria is never had a contrat à durée indéterminée, CDI. But it's also true abroad, because the CDI doesn't exist, for example, in the US or in other countries. But you cannot go to the company saying, okay, it doesn't exist in the US, but I had a permanent contract in a company in the US. I'm still eligible to the young doctor incentive. That's not right. So that means why I use this term permanent contract, because even if the CDI doesn't exist abroad, if you were hired under a permanent position, you are not eligible anymore to the research tax credit.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Wow. That was really good information, and thank you for sharing. So since you're working with a lot of companies, you're mainly working in the innovation industry.
Yeah.
How many times, like on average, you'd say do you get more offers for, like, more companies looking for PhD students, or some companies are okay with master's student? Like on average, you'd say 90% of the time the companies are interested in PhD students or master students? How is the statistics?
I would say it's quite hard for me to answer this question, because I created RD2 on the PhD recruitment.
Okay.
So when we deal with companies, what we do on a day-to-day basis is to call companies and to say, okay, we don't know if you have any recruitment process in progress, but have you ever thought about the interest of recruiting a PhD? And we are only focused, and our communication is only focused on the PhD recruitment. So we work for you, actually, every day we work for you to make the companies, private companies, aware that there is a real interest to hire the PhDs.
Okay.
And as I said, today and for the last 10 years, 95%, even 99% of our recruitments are of young doctors and of PhDs. So I cannot answer if the companies are more focused on the masters or the PhDs. I think that today we have in the economic development, we have a lot of companies wanting to hire people, and they want engineers, they want masters, and for some of them, and more of them, they want also to hire PhD people.
Okay. Thank you for working for us, because it's nice to know there are people who are supporting the PhD students who are just finishing and have no idea what to do. So on our last question, maybe last, I don't know, what would be your advice? But I think you've talked about this over and over again, but if you have extra things that you'd want to advise a PhD student who wants to pursue their career in the industry world, what would you tell them? Like, how should they prepare? What should they what should they work on to make sure that they're investing in themselves? That way, by the time they're finishing their PhDs, they're ready to go into that world.
Usually I say that we need to repeat 7 times something to
stick,
understand and to think about it. So
yeah,
I will repeat the 2, I think, most important message I have for a PhD right now. The first one is to identify, understand during the thesis, not wait until the thesis is defended and is over, but to identify the skills and try to give concrete proof of the skills. It's not just enough to say, I can communicate or I can work in a team. You have to prove and to give some concrete examples of the skills that you identify.
Okay.
That's the first point. And given this, I would say this luggage of skills that you have, then when you are faced with a recruiter, you have to, that's also my most important message, you have to put yourself in the place of the recruiter. Try to imagine what he wants from you in terms of hard skills and soft skills. And then in your package of skills, you try to pick the appropriate skills. When you are in a job interview, I don't want to have a doctor that say, I can do this, and then it's my job to pick what is interested to me. I want the doctor in the job interview to pick the right skills, to explain them, and to make me understand or make me think that he has really understood what I want. So that's the message. Identify all of your skills, and you have a lot, and then during the job interview, try to choose the appropriate skills that will be interested for the recruiter.
Wow, that's, thank you very much. Very simple, but very good advice. Know yourself, identify your skills. I think it's perfect. It's very simple and clear. Know yourself and then put yourself in the position of the recruiter. So thank you very much, Laurent. This was very, very interesting. Thank you for accepting my invitation. I know you're a busy person. And I'm really honored to have you on this podcast that I'm looking forward to sharing with other PhD students. I hope they would learn as much, because this is my second time that I'm listening to you, and it's like there's always something new that I'm learning from you. So I'm really, really, really grateful. And I think people can also reach out to you through LinkedIn for PhD students. Maybe you can give
us. As I said, we are always eager to get in touch, to have contacts, and to get the CVs. Even if for sure we cannot answer everybody, because we try to make the link and we contact the people when we have some job positions that match the profiles. But don't hesitate to get in touch, to contact through LinkedIn, or to send the CV directly on our website. we keep everybody and we keep every CV in our database in case of.
Okay, just one question. So for example, like sometimes when you have a company looking for a certain candidate for a specific position, do you normally maybe post those on your website?
So sorry, you mean?
For example, like when a company reaches out to you and they say we are looking maybe for a research engineer, do you normally post that in your website to let? Okay.
Yeah,
so
all the job positions are on our website,
okay.
www.rd2conseil.com, and we have all the job positions currently in progress on the website.
Okay, so that's good. People can pass by, look what's there, and deposit their CVs. Okay, thank you very much, Laurent. I'm looking forward to talking to you and seeing you soon. And then in case, whenever you have any training in Grenoble, you could let us know and I could inform other students who will be interested to attend it. It would be really nice. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Kabibi.
Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.